Hello. Thank you all for joining me today. I'm delighted that you're here to spend some time with Stephen Pon. Stephen was born in France and was trained in Montreal at the Espace Vert, and he still lives and works in Quebec. His work is really unique, very unusual, and I'm excited for you to hear him tell the story about how his work is influenced. But it's if you'll allow me, Stephen, it's the dream world and the movement of water, and which really references the turbulence of life. The characters in his sculpture are ship-bound, and they're bound for their own individual destinies. His work is very personal and it's constantly evolving. We see the different gondolas and ships to the very, very expressive characters. His creations, as I mentioned before, are very unique, but they combine antique and the contemporary world. Both worlds seem to collide in his work. They reference the remains of forgotten civilizations. So I think it's, when we talk about the dream world, it really is, it's what you see in his work. It's also about movement and the journey of life. He combines three different types of art, of glasswork though. He combines pâte de verre, hand-blown glass, and sand casting. So from the most ancient, which is pâte de verre, to the most contemporary, which is sand casting. But I would like Stephen to tell you more about his work rather than myself going into it. And how are you? Good to see you, Stephen.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So glad to be with you all.
It's a pleasure. You're so far, but yet so near in a way.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
So I guess it's been quite a winter that you've had in your home. I know we've had a bad winter here in Toronto, and it's always worse in Quebec.
Yeah, it's kind of cold. It starts to getting, we have a very cold January, and March seems to be on a good way too, with almost no wood to heat anymore.
But you've been spending most of your time indoors working?
Yeah, in the studio. The studio is kind of up because the kiln are working since a few months. So we have been pretty busy in the studio to make new work.
And I really didn't mention in my opening, but your wife is there with you, Fabienne.
Yes, Fabienne is always with me.
Yes.
She's my partner in life, and she's my partner with the glass we made here in our studio.
Mm-hmm. Well, we look forward to meeting her during the tour at some point during the visit.
Yeah, she sure will be show up.
Okay, I know she's not far away. There she is. Hi, how are you?
Hello, everybody.
Yes, you should definitely be on the screen for us to say hello. Thank you for all your hard work. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
It was a pleasure to do it. It's always good to see that.
Well, and for everyone to meet you and to know more about your work. So I think you should take us on your journey, and I would love to hear more about how you got started and how you ended in Quebec from France.
Yeah, that we're gonna talk about that. I made the short presentation, don't worry, and we'll try to share it with you right now.
Okay, that would be lovely. How many years have you lived in Quebec?
Almost all my life, for 50 years. I lived with my mother in France only 1 year.
I didn't realize that.
She didn't stand the winter here. After one winter, she get back in France with my sister, and I stay here with my father. Mm-hmm. So that's how the story started with me in Quebec a while ago on a winter time.
You were raised by your father?
By my father and my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was raised not far from where the studio is right now. And I will welcome you all to a picture of the studio today, just to show you that is right behind the house. It was not big like that at the beginning, but it's a little and very efficient studio that we built there. That's the first boat that I made. I'm in the middle. I was very young at that age, and I always be passionate by boat and water, and it was kind of always in my mind. That's me across the time. I left home very young, and I've been in when I was young, I've been in the Royal Navy in the here in Repentigny. And after that, I traveled across Europe and Canada for a few years till I met my wife at 21 years old. And a few years later, I try to go back to school, because I was not very happy with what I was doing. So with two little girls, we purchased the house that you see with the studio behind, and I start a school at Espace Vert in Montreal for 4 years. So it was very good to go to Espace Vert, because it allows you to explore a lot of technique and to know what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And it get there very fast to your first little exhibition that you go and around, and you start to blow glass. And that was at the beginning when I was at Fusion. It's a kind of a transitory workshop that they give at Espace Vert. A lot of artists went through those facilities. And after I went to the first boat that I made were showed to SOFA Chicago, SOFA New York, Alt Palm Beach. And after that, it went very fast. It was the first 5 years, and it went really fast, almost out of control. And I've been selected for the Philadelphia Museum Art Craft Show for representing the Canada. It's kind of a very high-end show, and I've been I very appreciate that. And after we went in France and in Changzhou on the International Craft Biennale, that's when I was casting a lot of glass for other artists until the sale and my work is enough known to being able to just live from my work. You work for other artists, and I work a lot for Sylvie Bélanger for casting a lot of glass and sand all day long. But it was very appreciated. It was a good vibe in this studio.
But your work right from the beginning then was boats.
Yeah, that's the first boat that I made. That's where it starts. The three first real boat, and after it went really fast. I made a lot of them, and they were made in kiln cast glass, pâte de verre, and blown glass.
Mhm.
They're almost between 5 feet to 4 feet long.
Very long.
That's another one that I've been made later. It's kind of a catamaran with 4 horns.
Right.
And during that time, I have a third girl, and where to go with 3 girls on a cruise. So we went on the Disney cruise with the girl. So we were again on water. And that's where I sold the first boat on that show too in 2004 for the Cirque du Soleil. And after it's SoFa Chicago, some shot from picture and the Carousel du Louvre. That was during the time that Trea Gallery from the Craft Council of Quebec was open.
I remember that.
Yeah. After I stopped blown glass and I just made solid glass with 2 layers of color. After you just engrave the color to make the undercolor show. And but I keep on going making gondola or boat and after I'm always interested into the body, so I try to always improve the sculpting of body. So it's 3 body during different time period. Buy a real boat and start sailing with the girls. That was when we're not doing glass, we were doing sailing with the girls.
Nice to have something like that the whole family enjoys doing.
We're very close. The family is very close.
How old are your girls today?
30, 26, and 23. They're women now.
Very nice.
After a few shows, I met one of my first gallery, Duncan McClellan in St. Pete in Florida. And it was in the beginning, those shots are from 10, 12 years ago when he was just started. The tree are way bigger now. And my studio, Cross Time. So on your left, you just see how it was. It was just a small garage for 2 cars. And it became very, very fast, too small. So we had to make a second floor and a bigger part on the side to get space to work. Il veut plus changer. Oh, that was during vacation to see my mom that still lives in France. So we went there a few years ago with all the family, and that's my my village where I come from. This little town in France, close to Bordeaux. It's a little port, and that's where my mom still lives. Everybody knows everybody in this little village.
How many people live in that village?
It's 600. My wife said that's on summertime with the cat. No, I think it's around 600, but it's 600.
So you also had a very early influence with boats. You grew up with them.
Yeah,
even though, mind you, left when you were just a year old.
Yeah, but I always keep visiting my mom there, and she lived, that's by the sea. It's she loved the sea. She's by the Atlantic Sea, so she's always she was a lot on the beach, like to walk on the beach. So the winter in Quebec was not for her. That's some of the inspiration, some artists that I like to watch their work. On one hand, for glass, they're William Morris, but it's just one example. There's so much glass artists that are fabulous. But on a sculptural point, it's sure I could say Rodin, but there's a Ousmane Sow, that's an African sculptor that is very known. He died a few years ago, but he made a lot of work. On the painting scale, I really love Salvatore Dali for just for the creation of his work. The creation, yeah. And David Rickey, for another glass artist that I work with, an English glass artist that is very, very interesting work, and it's a very nice man. that I have the chance to work with. And that's after a workshop with David Rickey, it helped me to develop a better casting for better annealing process and better control of the colors into my work. And that's where I start to making only cast both with a lot of people on them. And that's when I start to make my own colors. So what I do, it's I rent a shop where I blow, and we take a few days to make a full pot of color of blue. And we cast that in blue blocks that I use after to cast those kind of work. So it helps to have a unique color into the work. You see that the control is not perfect. Sometimes accident happen, and sometimes it become all the same color because some color are heavier than other. And
Really the
start to make
violet colors, yeah, that you use. There's a piece behind me, but we can't really see it.
yeah,
Right.
it's changed color. It turned pink to blue. It's iridium that we call, yeah, like this one on the left. That's the artifact project. And you have the last one from that series that I made a few years ago, not that long ago. And the concept of this work, it's every piece has an object, a man hold an object that the object is made in real size beside. So that's three of
Yes.
them.
Can you see it? I think my screen is
Yeah, you
blocking.
have the Pandora with the box at the gallery that I have a
Yes.
picture from. Oh, it sorry, went too fast. This one, yeah.
Yes, that's the piece.
This is
That is the piece
Pandora.
that's behind me. Right.
Exactly.
Mm.
It's kind of a nice piece, 20" by almost 24" high, if I remember, with the box that come with it, the Pandora box.
Very nice the way he's holding the box too, the small box that he's holding in the upper right-hand side that reflects the larger box.
Yes. I'm trying to, and the one on the left, it's the navigator. It start to get more control onto the glass. That's public art that I made in between, and it's kind of by the Saint Laurent shore on the town close where I live. It's illuminated by the night. Johnny Sophie. Sorry, my wife told me that I missed this one. That's another one for the artifact series.
That's kind of an intriguing one. How tall is that piece?
28" long by almost 12" high, with the mask beside that is in real side. And the middle man on the boat is having the same mask on his head.
Okay, I'm trying to see that.
The man right in the middle, the one is.
Yes, okay, I do see it. Yeah. I need my glasses on.
I think this is the last one that I made from that series. That's again, it's public art in 5 years ago. It's outside from on a little garden close to an hospital, and it's illuminated at night. It's all the pot de verre that are inside that
That's what the
represent.
color is. The color is.
There's the one for the winter, one for the autumn, one for the summer. So green, orange, blue, and clear for winter, and one that all the color are in it. Over 80 cast glass leaf that have been made for it. That's one of my show that a solo that have been made with my work in Florida. And that's when I start bringing some work to in Toronto, like
Yes.
the Pandora box and the flood that you see, another piece right beside that you had. And that's all the work you have right now at your gallery, Sandra, that we
Yes,
put
that's
all
right.
together. I think you were meaning about the one on the left, that's called Stairway to the
Mhm.
Moon. In that right now is pink, but if you put them under cold light, neon light will turn blue. And the other one is a Zodiac, and on the right it's Pandora. That's flood that has been made that you had a long time ago too.
Yes, I could have that. I think you've made quite a bit of new work, though, that you're going to show us later on in your studio.
Yes, in the studio we even have the time to make picture. They're too hot, they're just out of the kiln. So that's a big show, that a big solo that we have in Culture House, Honoré Mercier in Montreal. And that was a series of where I first made the big boat of around 14 feet long that you saw on the back, and large kiln cast passe de verre like the pyramid that you saw in the middle. This pyramid is almost it's over 80 pounds of glass, very, very heavy.
Mhm.
And with a lot of little detail, very fragile on it. It's a very exceptional piece.
The
And
details are incredible. I'm sure you'll get to telling us how you make the figures.
all those figure we have later on, you're gonna have a nice picture about how I made them, how I put them together, how I move them. It's I sculpt more wax than glass in my life. And that is the boat from another point of view, with 20 man on it.
Very extravagant.
It's kind of a very long wave that very that's a detail of all the little man on the that's the first generation. I make a new generation of men. They're all the sculpted men now are different. They add line on their body.
Mhm. What is it that draws you to all of these men, to all of these figures?
I'm trying to represent tension or friendship or ambivalence into all those men looking at each other or helping each other. I try to tell a story, but not clearly between them, like what is happening on that boat with between all those guys. So everybody is able to see at the story and make his own with all those emotion that I try to put in scene.
You,
That's a little vacation. Sorry, Sandra.
I was just going to say, do you draw from your own experience when you were a cadet? I don't know how.
Yeah, or from family things, or when you work. No, I draw from everything. Yeah, for sure. It's what drive you. It's to put all that together to make something that makes sense to me, at least.
Good.
and put some symbol. And I like old story, old legend. So like that's why sometimes you have title like the piece you had Pandora about the Pandora box
Mhm.
and legend. That's why we love to visit old site like this
Yes.
and dive in place like this. That's my youngest one that we dive together and she loves to do that. So it's a pleasure to share that with her. And she's better than me in water now. And that's the Odyssey too. That's the piece that won this year the great prize from Jean-Marie Gauvreau Award. That calls in Quebec. It's for craftsmen, for
Congratulations.
for craft.
Mhm.
And that's the piece that I suggest to that award, and it wins. So we were pretty happy to have that this year, and that's a detail of that piece that is 10 feet long, 10 feet long, 10 feet long. The kiln cast part in the middle is 28-inch long and almost 20-inch wide. It's one piece. There's no glue in this. It's all control of the color. The men are clear and the boat is blue. And what I'm pretty proud of it, it's that you don't see anymore the steel that hold the piece. It's the stand is inside of the piece. So it's very light. It's like it float. And
Really.
there's a snake at one end that one man hold the two rope that goes into around the snake that you see on the right of the piece.
It's probably mine left. Everyone's left, perhaps. So detailed.
Sorry.
Your work is incredibly detailed. Here, I can see you're going to
That's
show us.
when then when we start that kind of works, it's all in wax with shape and big mold that I use that you're gonna see later when we're gonna make a studio tour. So it's all sculpted, cut. Like as you see, some man has no head, some other has no arm. So it's very put that together, cast them in glass after, and put those men in glass into their place onto the wax turtle. In that case, it's a shape of a turtle, a kind of a big turtle. Sorry. And working like that until there's no place left to put one more man, because I like when there's a lot of people, there's a lot going on onto that piece. That's when I blow the blown part, those long horn that are around 6 feet long. So I need 3 people to help me to do that with a good annealer to. And that's when you start to put everything together.
Mhm.
You see with me right behind, that's the first day when I finish all the steel. You don't see steel inside, and I was quite happy. Everything was fitting well, and after 400, we were around 300 hours work there, and 100 hours more to go to finish
Yes,
the work. It's 400 hours work onto that piece.
that one piece. The
Yeah,
detail is incredible. It's quite amazing. And you really seem to have captured the positions, the natural positions, the way people are sitting and the way their arms are.
you have to move them when they're in wax.
Mhm.
Now you see the snake that go to the turtle inside of it. There's a little story about that, a legend about the turtle and the snake, the Polynesian sculpture that inspired that work. And that's some of the new work that we made this year. It's the Totem series, and it's working with amber color and other color, and we have to make compatibility tests to make sure that everything is nice. And when that's done, we're able to make the piece. There's other downstairs that you're gonna be able to that I'm gonna be able to show.
Very nice.
And I'm gonna show you that little movie that explains the process about how I make my work. And it's not very long. I'm gonna talk about it in the same time, and after that, I'll be able to go downstairs and show you the shop.
Lovely. Thank you.
It all start with drying because it's easiest when you draw. You make less mistake, and that's the basic shape that is made in foam, just to cast wax into that big mold in plaster. That gonna help me to make the sculpture the shape of the boat. So soon as it is ready, you put that into water and you cast the wax inside so it doesn't glue into the mold. And I just start like that to shape the boat that you saw at the beginning of the movie. And then I took those matrix that we call, and I put wax in it. That's what I'm gonna use to have all those little men that I'm gonna cut and place in the position that I need to make the sculpture. I get those men at the beginning. When I start the process, I make them in clay and I make the matrix after to be able to cast wax in it. And that's when the funs begin. You can work, it took almost 3 weeks to get at that point on this sculpture. And after that, I start to change the face, change the nose, change little detail to make sure that every face is telling me something. So I'm not working that fast. The movie is on
Okay, I
speed.
was wondering.
My finger doesn't move that fast.
They're so detailed, though. It's amazing.
So when it's
And the
finished,
muscles in the legs, beautiful.
so soon as it's finished, we make a mold, an old technique mold, but very heavy. It was over, I said 150 pounds and over. I was not able to lift it, and it's very fragile. That's the way we melt the sculpture. We took it out of the mold like that with steam. And after we clean it with hot water, and that's when the mold is very fragile and you have to wait a few days to make sure that it's dry, and you put it into the kiln. And you start to make all the setup to make sure that you're gonna melt all the glass into that sculpture. It's 50 pounds of glass, that sculpture. There's shelf over it to make sure that the annealing is good. That's when it fuses. Try just to look if everything is okay. The kiln, the glass is all melt. It's all in the sculpture. And after, it's gonna stay there for almost 2 weeks just to anneal the piece. And that's when you hope that everything is okay. It's at that moment.
That's a
And it's
tense
so heavy
moment.
that you have to take everything out into the kiln. And after, I use water like that to make the mold very, very soft, to make sure not breaking nothing into those details. So that's the way. And after, you have to do the cold work and hoping that the piece gonna survive to all those steps. And if so, you're happy and you have a nice piece between your hand. And that's when my wife come into the game.
Camera.
No, she helped me a lot down into the shop too. And that was the last piece from that project that was just before the pandemic.
Beautiful piece.
I think ça finit comme ça. Now that's some details of the piece of constellation that you had.
Yes,
Both
love
sides.
that piece. Beautiful piece.
Yeah, I love it. I love the color. I love the clear where the clear has been gone into the piece when it melts.
Yes.
The two head on the middle part and the middle head. And that's the other one. All the head are clear except one.
Well, it's lit beautifully in the gallery, but with the lights and with the light on the computer, it's washed it out. I'm sorry. So I'm glad you have these images to show everyone how it looks.
And that's a lot of work. It goes fast on the movie, and that's our last project that we have. It's to put this boat this summer. Sister, we call it Sister Project for
Your
our
your boat you're talking about.
Yes, that's the last project that we finish this year. Comment j'arrête ça? I'm gonna quit that.
Okay. I guess we're not showing the lilac boat. It's actually behind, but it is a gorgeous piece. There's something that lilac color that you make is, I can feel it inside me. It's such a beautiful color.
Thank
Great
you.
color that you work with.
That's why we try to make our own color. It's so much personal, and it's fun to make over it. I enjoy to do that. I think we're gonna. There's any question or?
Yes, if there's some questions, maybe Dan can see them. I can't see it on my computer. Dan, is there anything there?
No, they're not. They're just a few comments how impressed people are with the detail in the figures.
Oh, thank you.
Pretty remarkable.
We're gonna start a studio tour, so like that I will be able to show you exactly how the project is made.
Thank you.
Here I am. Here I am in the part of the studio where I stay a long time. It's where I sculpt the wax finally. It's where everything starts into the studio. It's in this part where we assemble everything. That's a new project that we're working on. I'm gonna try to show you like that. And just behind, it's the boat. If I show you the drawing, it's supposed to be like that. A lot of work to do. So when the sculpting of the wax is finished, we just go on the other side of this place and you're in the molding area where all the matrix are. And we mold the piece right on those tables.
You can do everything under one roof. It must be nice to have all your
under this place. Do you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Good. That's where we work still to make the stand of some piece. And there's the tool here. And the most interesting part is where the kilns are. And there's some work on the table here. And there's there the kiln. So when the mold is made, just we need more energy on the.
I'm not sure, have we lost you?
It looks like we've lost his iPhone in the studio.
Okay,
Stefan, do you hear us?
this is a first. We can't find Stefan.
But here he comes.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay, great.
I'm sorry, we had a problem downstairs with the battery are low.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
we
that's
were
too
at,
bad.
I think she's gonna try to fix that.
Mhm. Okay,
Then we're gonna be able to show the work that is on the table downstairs.
okay. Well, maybe in the meantime, is there something else you'd like to tell us about what direction you're going or what will be next for you after these pieces?
I'm just going to interrupt because I have a question from Verna. She would like to know what type of wax do you use?
Oh, it's a commercial wax that I use, but I put Vaseline into it because I wanted to make it softer. So I make my own mixture of wax with a good commercial wax that I customize with Vaseline in it to make sure that it's soft enough to be able to move the wax and to move the head of the man or their arm without breaking it.
Mhm.
And then another question we have is how do you maintain the proportionality with various parts of the body?
The portionality.
The body, the forms, the proportions are so perfect. It seems like you've really kind of captured the natural body. How do you do that? Are you
It's
constantly
on the
looking?
first. It's on the first model that we made, that we make sure that the proportion are good and everything is sculpted with. I got some anatomic books to help me to get the right proportion to make sure that I'd like to be precise like that. I like to show muscle. That's one thing I like. And after I reproduce that person, that little man, a lot of time, and I change just a little bit the posture when they're in wax, and I make another matrix, and I keep on like that. So after 20 years, I have a lot of position, very different position, men that are jumping, men that are sitting, men that are cross-leg, and because it's faster to reproduce and to get a lot of men into action when you use wax.
Okay, very good. So I was asking you what you're looking forward to now that you've completed this body of work. What do you see yourself doing over the next 1 or 2 years?
There's the big line of men that I have to finish. And after that, I had to work on big pendulum. You know what a pendulum is? You know, those big sphere that move just with the weight
In the water.
Yeah. So I want to make a series of those sculpture that's gonna be around the end of this year. And that's gonna be 3 of them that I want to make, and working with the magnetic field to make them move like I want. So it's kind of a research project that I'm gonna be on for maybe 3 or 4 months after we come back, because we have a few shows in Florida at the end of the month that we're gonna go. And after that, I will surely start to work on those projects.
And are these like for you exploring a new direction, or are these commission pieces for someone?
I'm exploring a new field about that. It's kind of exploring the field of the pendulum and heavy, making look something heavy that floats and that moves. That's a bit the point of it. And in glass, that's another challenge. It's going to be interesting to do. I don't know where that's gonna lead me, but that's the fun part. It's when you don't exactly know the way where it's gonna lead you.
Mhm.
For me, not all artists are that way.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it looks
think
like we're back live in the studio, so I'm going to put that back up on the screen. Here we go.
yeah, I can comment that on this table, it's you have two pieces that are gone just out of the kiln. There's this little totem
Mhm.
is iridium glass with the man in amber color. It's not blue. It's like you saw on the video. And this one is the same. It's a body and soul. It's not the same series, but it has kind of a sphere in his hand. This one is on finishing station number 1, if you want. It's all the hand tool are on this table. That's where we work the glass and we take out all the imperfection. And if you look just beside, there's another tool. And at the end of the studio, you see the sandblast and all the kiln on that side. 2 are working right now.
Very compact space as well.
Oh yeah, it has to, because there you need a lot of tool to work glass. Like this one, you need to cast glass. You need a part that is blown, and after you need to work steel a bit to make the stand. So you have to have a studio for each of those work, because you don't want to contaminate your glass with steel, and so it has to be compact and self-efficient. Yeah, that's where I work the studio. You see on the upper shelf, there's a little model, but I think it's finished.
Well, I
Just
think you have
no,
some,
it's not finished. She's gonna show you the finishing table.
okay, we're going upstairs now.
Et 3 pièces B sur la table. Ouais, those 3. That's the other totem that I was talking about.
I think we
Just out of the
actually,
kiln, we have no picture of maybe the middle one. We have a picture, not the other 2.
that looks familiar, but don't we
This
have a
one, yeah, you
list?
have a picture of this one, but not this one too, not the first one that,
Mhm.
and
It may be easier to see it if we look at them on, I think, Dan, do you have a list there of the pieces?
Yes, I do. Before we jump to that, we have another question. And
Okay,
Phyllis would like to know, how do you get the glass into the mold? Are you
by
using?
gravity, just by gravity. If you seen the into the movie, when I place kind of a flower pot over the mold,
Mhm.
there's a hole in it, and this hole allow the glass to melt and to go through the hole and to just slip into the mold that is right behind, right underneath. So all by gravity, the glass will flow into the empty mold because you took the wax out of it. That's one piece that we are finishing. We'll try to finish. Fait que je pense qu'on a fini. Oh, you can see the gallery up there.
okay,
Here.
great.
That's the studio where my wife works.
And what does she do in the studio? What
All
type?
the paperwork, all the pictures, and it's a lot of work, just the paperwork, because we have a lot of possibility to explore, and
Ah, that's great that you can work together.
yes, it's we have our specialty, if you want, and she's more upstairs, and me, I'm more into the studio to work.
Mhm.
It's better for me to work downstairs and sculpt and do paperwork. I'm not good with paperwork.
Mhm. And she does the photography, you said, of the
Yeah,
pieces.
all the photography and all the she's the one that go to all the furniture, all to bring the plaster to get the stuff into the studios. She's the one that is she's the runner, if you want. Bon, je pense qu'on c'est bon. So I think you see enough. You see it all.
Yes, we have. It's quite a large space that you have to work in
Oh,
and to keep everything under one roof, which is great.
yeah, yeah.
A lot of
We
people
have
would like.
a little place close to our shop. It's a little another little house, if you want, where there's some stuff there, some box, and all the shipping stuff is there because it takes a lot of place.
Excellent. So this has been lovely. I want to know if there's any more questions. I'm not able to see them from my computer. So Dan, if there's anyone else that has a question?
There is not right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up images of the professional work.
Oh, good.
Images of the available work. The first three sculptures are the sculptures behind Sandra that are showing up a little hot, but you can now see what they look like in person.
There we go. Very
Yeah,
nice.
that's Pandora from the Artifact series.
Beautiful.
And that's from the Constellation series from.
Yeah, this is a piece. This is a beautiful piece. I like this piece a lot. That's the piece I was referring to earlier.
That one was on the table. This
So,
one.
I guess this is the beginning of you making smaller scale, more intimate. Maybe that's the way of putting it, more intimate works.
Yeah, I came back to circular sculpture instead of constellation series. It's a high relief that we had on them. That's blown and that's pas de verre.
Working with these techniques, is this something that you learned at Espace Vert, or is it self-taught as you went along?
I learned the basic at Espace Vert, but you don't learn everything at school. I
No.
made a lot of mistakes. I think I still made a lot of mistakes. So probably that there's one piece on 4 that is not good. So it's a ratio of 25% of work that is no good. Because I never do the same thing. I always change. When I control it too much, I change. So I think I like it that way.
Okay. This is new work that I'm looking at right now, isn't it? This is a new piece.
This is a boat series of town that are on a boat. Yeah, there's 2 of them. They're quite small. They're almost maybe 12-inch long.
Ah, okay. And it would be 2 separate pieces of glass. Is that right? This piece here? It's an
Yes,
inset, the blue.
the blue is onto a top of a pink part.
I saw a question came up and someone wanted to know how you ship the works.
In to double box in foam, like any glass artist should do. And that way I don't have pieces that are broken. When they're broken, it's when someone ship it back, not back the right way. So, but no, I have no, the only time I had a piece broke, it was because it was in a wooden box, and wooden box are pretty bad because people think it's in wood and they're rough with it, and that's why I have a broken piece when I use a wooden box once.
Very upsetting when that happens. But as you say, it doesn't happen very often.
Oh, once in 20 years, it's okay.
Exactly. Okay.
That's the series of man that I made. That's the last one that I made. He has a lot of muscle. Every muscle is very nicely cut, nicely defined. So that's an older piece. It was a old series too of mime. They don't talk. They have a mask and they make symbol with their hands. And that's the masquerade series, men with mask. Two men with mask.
Does that have meaning, those men with masks? Why do they have masks?
Because mask is a powerful symbol that I use into my work to express some hiding feelings or to hide feelings. Like, for example, the guy that is screaming, that is sit on this sculpture and his mask is up and he's just screaming. So, and that's another series, the doors that I call, with people closing the door or opening the door. In that case, they're closing it. Yeah.
And I think there was another question that came up. Well, I'll let you ask it.
Sue would like to know, do you separately cast your figures, build the wax around the complete sculpture, then recast?
I don't understand the question.
So I believe she's getting to, how do you get the figures onto the boats in glass? Are you casting them first?
No, I put them in, no, I make them in wax. I cast them in glass. And after I put that man in glass onto the boat in wax. In a sense, she's right. Because I make the man in glass first and I put it onto the wax. That's the good way to have to clear distinction of color into your work. And you have to place those inclusion, if you want to call it that way, at the good place, because when the glass melt, it's a liquid and it moves. So you have to place that man on a different color somewhere. Well, the glass will not move. So you have to think about the way where you're going to put that inclusion onto your sculpture. It seems easy, but you have to think a bit when you do it.
And then we have another question. I'm just going to put up a picture to hopefully help illustrate this. Some of your sculptures on the, I don't have it here. Some of your sculptures on the back have what looks to be you're depicting some sort of language.
On the back, it's the Seri constellation, I think they're talking. It's, yes, on their back, there's some engraving that show the constellation the piece is representing, if you want. So everyone has those engraved with sometimes gold leaf in it or silver leaf in it to just make sure that you can't miss it. So yes, it's engraved. It's not a language. It's always different constellation. You have a Sirius for the piece Sirius. On Zodiac, you have 3 constellation, the bull and 2 others. I don't remember all of them. But yes, it's always still is very stylistic representation of constellation.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions there, Dan?
Janine would like to know, are you referring to ruins?
Ruins or old language or old culture. I really love Assyrian culture, and because of Gilgamesh story of the flood, because flood is water, and again it touched me because it talks about boat and water. So no, I really get my inspiration in every legend that turns around those subjects. Like I love Easter Island, and because of that, a lot of people of little man on my sculpture has a kind of a helmet of bird figure because of the Rapa Nui legend of Easter Island. That was the way they were giving the power to someone. It was for with a race that the winner was called the Rapa Nui, the Birdman. There's movie and documentary about that legend that are very, very nicely done and very interested to watch. It's always come from, yeah, from old story legend and that turns around water.
So have you always been interested in stories and legends even before you started working in glass?
Oh yeah, yeah. I like history with a big history, if you want, like Egyptian history, Assyrian, Akkadian. I'd like every old stone that can be visited. It's a pleasure for me to get inspired with that. Yeah, that's why I go a lot in France, because there's a lot of ruins and good castle to visit. To the desperate, my mother is tired of, oh no, we're not gonna visit church and castle again. Yeah.
So it's interesting that your love of the legends and the stories came before your artwork. And when it, I guess it's true that people paint or make what they understand and what they love, which is truly what you've done.
Yeah, I try always.
Well, it's very unique what you're doing,
Thank
Stefan.
you.
I don't know anyone that does anything similar. And, you know, we love having your work in the gallery, and it's been great visiting you. I don't know if there are any other questions. If there aren't, we might, in a couple of minutes, say goodbye, unless there's something you would like to add. Anything you'd like to share with us, maybe about that new boat you're building right now for personal use?
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, it was a project that I don't have enough work, it seems, because we pass a long time to put that boat again to make seaworthy. And we're supposed to put it on to water this summer. We're pretty excited. We want to go on a 1,000-island cruise with it. So it could be our first trip. It's going to be on the way of Toronto.
Well, just to give everyone a little bit of background, you started working on this, did you tell me 20 years ago? Or did I?
No, 10 years ago.
10 years.
ago,
Oh, sorry, 10 years ago.
One.
Okay. Okay.
It's
Wow.
not a full-time job.
No, it's not, but
we do
yeah,
that
your
when we have
passion.
spare time.
Yeah.
Instead
Okay,
of
well, thank you so
thank
much.
you. I thank you a lot, Sandra, for this opportunity.
Oh, it was a
present
pleasure.
my work, and I look forward to go back in Toronto. Last time we met, it was at the beginning of that pandemic situation. And since then, I didn't get back to Toronto. We have to make a trip there.
Well,
and
very
visit.
few people have at all. I should mention that in maybe about 3-4 weeks from now, we're doing our first live event in the gallery. We're having an opening. So
That's great.
well, that's a good direction. So anyone in Toronto should know about that. We're going to dip our toes in the water and see what it's like to be surrounded with some people.
That's great.
Like you, I've seen very few people over the last 2 years, except on Zoom. And it's really a
Yeah.
pleasure that we could come and visit you. Thank you so much for the
Thank
time,
you.
effort you put into this. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate. Have a nice
Thank you.
evening.
And I look forward to seeing you in Toronto.
For sure. This
Okay.
summer, if everything is good, I should go.
Summertime, exactly. Good.
Summertime.
We'll find a great patio.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.
You too. Thank you, Danielle.
Okay.